Guys, let's dive into the ongoing debate about infrastructure, Jim, and the corporate tax rate in America. We've heard in the last 24 hours from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, from Raytheon, from the National Association of Manufacturers, who we're going to have on in the 10 a.m. hour, arguing that going back to 28 would cost 1 million jobs in the first couple of years.
Well, look, I think that these, look, if you put out the estimates, it always, if your business going to make it sound like a lot of people are going to lose jobs. I know that there's a lot of jawboning of where this should be. I think that I'm always surprised that no one says, listen, it should be on the individuals because the corporations just are really humming. But maybe that's the point, Carl. I think the corporations make a lot of money. What's going to matter to me, we have earnings season next week. And I don't know how you give a forecast of what your earnings are going to be. Maybe you do two different sets of forecasts. David, it's going to make forecasting impossible next week after, because we have no idea what the tax rate is going to be.
Well, yeah, I mean, that goes back to sort of that level of uncertainty, and will companies choose not to make perhaps some investments they otherwise would as a result of not being certain about what the tax rate will be. Although, guys, Jim, I'd love to. I mean, it's 4 years or so since the tax cut was passed. We spent an awful lot of time then talking about, well, is it going to truly lead to investment, to capital investment that is going to create jobs? Or is it simply going to lead to higher dividends and more share buybacks, which are not quite as productive when it comes to what that was all about, right? Do we know? Do we know whether that tax cut truly did what, at the time, Secretary Mnuchin said it would over and over again in terms of increasing GDP in a significant way and leading to greater job growth?
Well, we did get the lowest unemployment since Lyndon Johnson, and that was guns and butter back then. This time it was non-inflationary. I don't know. I think that's empirical evidence that it did work, David. I don't know what else to say. You get that kind of unemployment, and yet the employment. One of the things that was startling was minority employment got much better. Something that Jay Powell cares tremendously about. So I don't know how else you could say it. I mean, they may have bought back stock, but boy, I don't know how you get. We had the lowest unemployment. It does matter, David. That number's significant.
Yeah, and Carl, listen, I think, inevitably in these kinds of situations, you're going to have people looking at it from both sides of the political aisle who are going to view it somewhat differently, even though, as Jim says, the numbers are the numbers in terms of what happened to employment, but you can still make different arguments about why that actually occurred.
Yeah. As for the president, guys, interesting set of comments yesterday. He said he always thought 35 was too high. He argued that 28 is still the lowest rate between the periods between World War II and 2017. And he said 28 is not fleecing them, referring to companies. Here's what he said about the potential of settling on a number somewhere below 28. Here's what he said.
Mr. President, are you willing to go lower than the 28% corporate tax rate?
I'm willing to listen to that. I'm wide open to, but we got to pay for this. We got to pay. There's many other ways we can do it. But I'm willing to negotiate that. I've come forward the best, most rational way, in my view, the fairest way to pay for it. But there are many other ways as well, and I'm open.
Reuters has a piece up this morning, Jim, an analysis of sorts, talking to some lobbyists who essentially argue that we think 25 would be a win, in the words of one energy lobbyist. And that sort of fits in with what a lot of the street's been saying, is that somewhere in the 25, 26 range appears doable.
Well, look, this is a new president. What he wants is to have it's kind of his style. I think he wants some consensus. When he says he's open to doing things, remember, that's not by fiat. I think, got used to for a while. It's my way or the highway. David, I think that the president is offering what I regard as being something reasonable. Remember, you got the filibuster issue, and David, you got to get around that. You got to make it so that you get a lot of Republicans. And right now, he doesn't have them, and he certainly doesn't have even all the Democrats, as you know.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.